Joining me is a lifelong Pennsylvania resident who calls himself a Philly sports sicko, and his day job is about writing about pop culture on the internet. He's one of the funniest guys on the World Wide Web. His name is Brian Grubb. He's with us here on A Gallen of Questions. Brian, what's up, buddy? How are you?
Doing great. How are you? I'm very impressed by your Santa hat. You look very festive for the season.
I'm trying, and I asked you to join me on the show because I know that you seem to love the holidays because you write about it pretty in depth. So that's exciting, and this will obviously air right before Christmas. But before we get to that, I wanted to ask you. You mentioned you're a Philly sports sicko. Like, what are your Philly sports sicko credentials, if you will?
Oh, we go way back. I saw Terry Mulholland's no-hitter in Veterans Stadium. I saw the Veterans Stadium implosion from the medium of I-95. I've been to multiple basketball games where Allen Iverson did things I've never seen before. Let's see what else. I actually worked at the Phillies Stadium the year it opened in 2004 at Citizens Bank. So, I mean, I go way back. It's an affliction I've had for mostly my entire life.
Then let's do it. All right, Gallen of Questions. I got a bunch in here. We'll pull them out, and we'll see where they go. And some of these questions are based on some of the stuff I've read from you. Okay, first one.
It's going to be a miracle if I remember everything that I've written now, right?
Right? Okay, question one. Which Philly sports star, past or present, would be the best choice to create a holiday film with?
Oof. It's got to be John Kruk as Santa Claus, right? Like, we have to have John Kruk going full bad Santa. He's, cranky. He's delivering presents. Everything's going wrong. He's punching into Bluetooth, ask T-Mac how to get to various places to deliver everything. I'm convinced John Kruk doesn't use Google. He just shouts out a question, and then T-Mac gives him the answer. It's like having his own personal digital assistant.
T-Mac is Google. I like, that's a good one. I didn't think about that. I actually wrote down, since I wrote the questions, Andy Reid as Santa could work, or also Charles Barkley as Santa, but only if he plays a guy who like bangs his head, like a Scrooge type Charles Barkley. He bangs his head, and then in the dream world he becomes Santa or something like that.
I could see Charles Barkley as Scrooge in A Christmas Carol. That would be fantastic. He gets the whole, the whole change of perspective, and it gets to share the Christmas turkey with the whole town. That seems like something Charles would do. Yeah,
but I kind of like the Kruk angle of this, where he grows a white beard, almost like the Santa Claus.
Yeah, Andy Reid works well too. He's ever since he went to Kansas City and won a Super Bowl, he seems to have opened up and freed himself to be a little more silly. And he's actually really good in those commercials. I made a joke a long time ago that if he ever gives up coaching, he has a long future ahead of him playing some sort of police chief in a small town network sitcom who's always fed up with the hotshot loose cannon taking away his badge and gun.
100% agree. And he already wears the big red coat, so we're halfway to Santa Claus anyway.
That's true.
All right, next question in the Gallen of Questions is, what has been the best part of the last 3 seasons of Phillies baseball?
I mean, the corny and the true answer is just like the camaraderie of it all. Like watching Citizens Bank Park light up and watching like Phillies people on social media go wild. And the other answer is watching Kyle Schwarber hit home runs to right field, because there's something about the way that man turns on a baseball and launches it and just stares at it as it flies into the seats. That is so satisfying. Like, some people watch, like pimple popper videos on YouTube or whatever. I would gladly watch a video of just every home run Kyle Schwarber's ever hit. He looks like
actually exists somewhere.
If it doesn't, it should. He looks like he's built to hit home runs. It looks almost exactly like he was put on earth to do. And I'm so happy that he gets to do it. What about you? What do you think is your best?
That's a really good one. I didn't think of that one. I did write the
But
clubhouse.
you asked the question, so you can't compliment yourself too much on it being a good question.
That is a good point. That's a good point. I did. I wrote down 3 of them. Clubhouse celebrations, so the camaraderie kind of
Sure.
plays into that. The ballpark rocking the way it has these last 3 years, because for about a decade it was a terrible down period. And the third thing I wrote was Nick Castellanos' hair evolution.
Oh yeah, he's got caveman. I love it.
He has, and I think it suits him. It suits him well. But you're right about the Kyle Schwarber thing. I was in San Diego when he hit that 500-foot home run off Yu Darvish in the NLCS a couple of years ago. I've never seen a baseball do that before. It looked like it was shot out of a rocket. It was the most incredible thing I've ever seen.
It seems like every home run he hits is a no doubter. Like, I'm sure there are a few that are, you go, oh, I don't know, but there are some where he hits and you go, oh, well, that's a home run. I don't know if you can see. It's a little in the right over my shoulder back here. I have a watercolor drawing of the Philly Fanatic firing his hot dog cannon. So let's put that on the list too. It's just everything the Fanatic does. I was explaining the concept of the Philly Fanatic to someone who was not previously familiar with it. And you realize what a crazy person you sound like. This fuzzy green alien who shoots hot dogs, rides a 4-wheeler. It's perfectly normal.
I got questions about who doesn't know about the Fanatic at this point, but that's for another time. Christmas question. What's the best non-Christmas Christmas movie?
Well, this is where we talk about the entire catalog of Shane Black, who people always say Die Hard, and I get it, whatever. Right. But Shane Black wrote Lethal Weapon, and he's also done Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and he did The Nice Guys, which is very loosely a Christmas movie. It is basically just the detective movie where Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe bumble around. It is one of my favorite movies. It is on Netflix. It is so good. And the only reason you know it's a Christmas movie is like once or twice in the background there's a Christmas tree. And I would argue that counts.
See, that's interesting. Like, to what degree is Christmas shown in a film to make it a Christmas movie? I feel like there's no real answer to that, right? But that's probably pushing it, right? Like 2 scenes where there's a little garland.
It's really getting close, but I'll stand by it. Because, everyone always says, like, oh, my favorite Christmas movie is Die Hard. And sure, you know what? Like, it's set at Christmas. Bruce Willis is doing his thing. It's a great one. But if we're going to open up that can of worms, then I'm going to bring in The Nice Guys, too.
How about Silver Linings Playbook? That's pretty loosely Christmas, right?
I'll allow it.
All right. That's my
I mean, you've got your Christmas classics. You've got, like, Muppets, and you've got Home Alone, and those are all great. But if you're gonna put a Christmas tree in the background, I think it counts as a Christmas movie.
I love that. Perfect. All right. This one's right up your alley, too. Okay. Donna Kelce is in 2 Hallmark movies this season. How would you grade her acting?
I would grade her acting as very good for the mother of 2 NFL football players. I don't know how I would grade it against classically trained actors or actresses, but, I mean, she's doing her thing. God love her. She's in the Chiefs movie, which the title is Holiday Touchdown, which is exactly what you would think a Hallmark football movie would be called. But my favorite part of that movie is the tagline is "Don't fumble the perfect catch," because it drove me insane as a sports fan. Because, like, you can drop a catch or you can catch the ball and then fumble, but I don't think you can really fumble a catch. So the marketing people there, they need to get at least one person who's watched plenty of NFL football to tighten it up. In the other movie, the other movie set in Philly, she just plays a person in line who tells someone how to order a cheesesteak correctly. And she could do that in every movie. You could drop Donna Kelce into Marvel movies, just correcting people on how to order cheesesteaks. That'd be fine.
She's certainly headed in that direction toward the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I would say, based on the
famous family.
What do the Sixers, Eagles, and Phillies need for Christmas? What should be under their tree, so to speak?
Well, the Sixers need knees, like all the knees you can give them. They need knees for Joel Embiid. They need some knees for Paul George. Get extra knees for Tyrese Maxey just in case. God forbid.
Just in case.
God forbid. Get him loaded up. Nick Nurse can have some. What got me thinking about it was one year. This wasn't even Christmas. I was like looking at my sock drawer, and all of my socks were like old and mismatched, and they were just like getting weird. And I just decided I would throw them all out and I'm gonna go get all new ones. And they all match and they all look good. And that's what we need to do with our knees for the Sixers. We need to throw everyone's out, get all new ones, and start fresh. The Phillies need, I don't know what the exact terminology is for making contact more. When they hit the ball, it goes so far and it's beautiful and it's wonderful. And then there's just a lot of not making contact with the ball. Maybe eyeglasses. Eyeglasses would count. And
like Tony Gwynn supplement or something like that.
That's right. That's right. Whatever sort of weird supplement, whatever sort of weird pills you could buy at GNC that claim to improve your eyesight, very questionably sourced.
Yep.
And I don't know, the Eagles, I think, Eagles fans in general, we just need a way to wipe our brains from the last 2 years because the team is doing great. We've run 9 in a row. The as of this recording, I guess. The defense is good. The running game is good. And all anyone's talking about right now is like, well, what's wrong with the passing game? And it's like, maybe it's not great, but maybe everyone just has in their memory losing a Super Bowl and falling apart the year before. Maybe we might be a little on edge.
So maybe, right.
Maybe we just need some nice decaf tea, something to help everyone, lower the temperature
just
a little
chill
bit.
Out a little bit. A little chamomile. I love a little chamomile. I just had some actually.
Exactly.
I wrote down sort of similar to you. Sixers, they need some tussin. You know how you rub tussin on it, makes you feel better?
That's right.
Yeah, they need a lot of tussin. The Eagles need, and it's funny you mentioned the passing offense, a 75-yard touchdown throw. I feel like if they just did that one time, it would cure everything that ails them at this moment.
Yeah, just light it up.
And the Phillies, I think, need like a brash, young star. Now, it's not easy to find that, but someone to like kind of play off of Bryce Harper's star power, but that's like young and like cocky that the city could fall in love with, like a 23-year-old. I know that Andrew Painter's not that, but he could be that young star that the city is looking for. They just need to get a little bit younger, though, too, I think.
We need like a baseball Tyrese Maxey.
Yes.
Does Maxey play baseball?
Yes.
If the Sixers
grew up playing baseball.
If the Sixers season goes much worse, we could always, get him in a batting cage and see how it goes.
Okay, this one is, if you could actually become one Christmas movie character, who would you choose to be?
I mean, probably Kevin McAllister in Home Alone. Like, just to be the ultimate rascal defeating some goons. Plus, he gets to live in that big old house. Like, he's doing great. And think about the story. Think about this. Like, no one will believe him when he tells that story for the rest of his life. Like, oh, yeah, when I was like 8, 2 goons came to my house and I thwarted them with paint cans and blowtorches. Like, no one, you go to college and ever be like, who's this weird kid? But,
yeah, right.
I mean, that would be cool. Just to have that in your memory bucket, the time you wrecked Joe Pesci, that'd be fun for me.
But how scarred might he be down the road after being left not once but twice? I always wonder about that.
Oh, he'd be in horrible shape. But, again, he'd have those stories, which is a nice thing to hang on your hat, right?
That is true. That is true. I love Christmas, but I don't love Christmas as much as Buddy the Elf. And so I guess if I really wanted to get into the Christmas spirit, I could see myself becoming him, right? It's all positive.
The energy.
That's the way it should be.
Like, to have that kind of positive energy in life every day, it must feel wonderful. Buddy the Elf has never watched an Eagles game. I can feel very confident saying that. Because if he had, he would absolutely melt down.
He would. He would. Okay, Saquon Barkley question. If Saquon Barkley was a new superhero, what would his name be?
Quadriceps Man. I mean, that guy. Have you seen that guy's thighs? Every time they do the quarterback sneak, the tush push, everyone always comments on how Hurts squats 600 pounds, and that's great. And I don't doubt him, But I look at Saquon Barkley, and I think that man could probably squat a Dodge Ram if he really needed to. And I mean, we saw him hurdle backwards over people. That's not something a regular human does, thinks to do, or accomplishes. So I vote quadriceps man.
Brian Grubb, we are on the same wavelength here because I wrote Quad God or the Hurdler.
That's right. The Hurdler is a pretty good one. The Hurdler is solid.
Hurdler.
Although that kind of makes him sound like a villain, right? Like it sounds a little bit like the Riddler. Like he'd be someone who like has the worst superpower ever, and Batman just defeats him.
He can only jump backwards over people. That's his only true power.
Yeah, that's how he robs banks. He gets in there and he takes stuff and he jumps backwards over all the security guards on the way out the door.
I love it. I do like Quad God. I think that could work. But we're on the same page there for sure. Because the quads, man, they are something.
It is.
There's something else, my friend.
I don't know how.
The last question.
I don't know how his pants fit. Like, where does he buy sweatpants or like jeans? It just doesn't seem possible.
It's got to be custom. It's got to be custom. All custom. Last one. I think this is a pretty good question for the last one. What's your favorite Philly sports memory during the holidays?
Okay. So we're going to have to backtrack to get to it, but it's a good one. So you can see like the way I'm moving around. I'm handicapped. When I was in college, I had a spinal cord injury and I fell off my lofted bed and I broke the C4 vertebrae in my neck. And I use a power wheelchair now. And, I've done a lot of stuff since then. I have a career. I'm doing great. I'm actually, I'm fine, all things considered. But before I was injured, me and my idiot friends at college saw a flyer to work security at an Eagles game. And it was in December, and it was still when the vet was around.
Okay.
So we show up, and we go, and I was up, like, way up in the higher levels. And this is a game in, like, early December. And so the guy who's in charge of security tells me, he's like, you have two jobs, okay? Your job is make sure no one's leaning against this sign because it's an advertiser sign and they want it to be, prominently displayed. And number two is make sure no one has any outside alcohol. And I go, got it. No problem. Two jobs, easy. And I go in there, and the very first thing I see when I get there, there's an old man in a Santa hat leaning against the sign. And I walk up to him and I go, sir, you're not supposed to lean against the sign. And he laughs at me and he pulls out two flasks and he goes, would you like whiskey or gin? And I was like, you know what? This is Merry Christmas to everyone. This is a perfect Veterans Stadium memory. And again, in that moment, I'm like 19 years old. I'm like, there's no way I'm telling this old man. This old man gets to lean on this sign all he wants. But for me, that's amazing. Like, you always hear about like they throw snowballs at Santa or whatever. But I think about that man's energy all the time. He's just like, I'm going to lean on the sign and I'm bringing two flasks in. And if some 19-year-old punk tries to tell me otherwise, he could physically remove me if he wants. But I'm wearing my Santa hat and I'm mixing my liquor while leaning against the sign. Go Birds.
See, that is a perfect answer. I wrote two games down during the holiday season, but that far exceeds, these.
Well, I'm curious to hear which games you got because I couldn't think of a game off the top of my head. Well,
I think the first one, holiday season, okay, December 10th, 1995, Eagles beat the Cowboys. They give it to Smith and they stop him again. You know the Merrill Reese call, right? They try on fourth down twice. That was December 10th. So that's, I guess, technically holiday season.
Buddy, they have Christmas decorations up in the mall on November 1st. We are being very loose, just like we are with Christmas movies. We are being very loose for their definition of Christmas. That's fine.
My second one definitely fits, and that is the Eagles beating the Lions. That very same year, December 30th, 1995, they won 58-37. It's one of the great playoff games in Eagles history. I was having a family Christmas party. My dad's side of the family comes over every year around Christmas. My mom made the ziti. She made the meatballs. I remember it like it was yesterday. My Uncle Jack was screaming at the 13-inch TV in my kitchen. It was like perfect holiday memory, and I was like the perfect age because I was such a huge sports fan at that time. So that probably fits a little bit better than the one earlier that season.
No, but again, we talk about how Philly sports can be an affliction, it can be tough, and it can ruin your life. But it's also like those are the things that's cool. When you get a bunch of people together and they're shouting at the TV and everyone has an opinion about whether they should throw the ball or run the ball, or like who should be shooting threes and who's sitting out too many games, and just the whole family together yelling and screaming at the TV like maniacs. There's something very charming about that and very festive.
There is.
And, you could Go Birds is kind of like a Merry Christmas in our area where, as you're just leaving a store, you just say like, okay, well, go Birds. And they'll reply back and go, okay, go Birds. And you just move along with your day. It's a very nice way to build a community around a bunch of sick people with deep-rooted problems they're attempting to solve with a ball being thrown into an end zone.
Perfect answer. I am so very much in the holiday spirit, even more so right now than I was when we started. Brian Grubb, so great to catch up with you, my friend. Thanks for joining me on the show. Appreciate it.
Okay, this was great. Thank you very much.